This special episode is with my good friend Todd Jones. Todd is a copywriter at copyfight.com. Todd has developed an amazing framework for developing copy for your website. Please sit back, relax as we discuss this new product. Also, be sure to listen to the entire episode as there's a special offer in it for you that is available only till tomorrow. Without further ado, my friend Todd Jones. Okay, I'm here with Todd Jones today, and we're going to talk copywriting. How are you, Todd?
Well, it's not quite as hot today, so maybe I'll do okay. I don't have Canadian weather, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's getting to be fall and more fall up here.
Send it down here.
You can have it. So one of the things that Todd's done recently is he's put together a copywriter's framework. So I wanted to sort of ask you, why did you develop it, and who's it geared at, and what's the benefit of it?
Wow. Okay. That's 3 questions. Basically, as I was doing copywriting projects, I needed to have a process for myself that was repeatable, that I could use for every project, and I put all it together. And in the process, I did these little worksheets that were kind of meant to be lead magnets. And Paul Lacey, he said, "Hey, man, these are good. You should sell them." I'm like, "Really?" Okay. So I started putting those together and just kept adding things to the package. And but I think one of the problems with website content, website copy, especially when a lot of developers are trying to get it from their client who chooses to do the content themselves, the client is a little unsure about what to do. The blank screen syndrome. What am I writing here? Why am I writing this? And so the framework is to help with that. So you have a little bit of a skeleton framework for what to include on your homepage, your about page, and your service page. And I give the copywriting framework I use for those is very simple. One that a lot of copywriters use, certainly not unique to me, and it's PAS. It stands for Problem, Agitate, Solution. So we use that in there. I developed my about page from some resources that I actually refer to in the framework, and I built worksheets to help fill in some of those details. So if you go through the framework, you will at least have thought about what your benefit phrase, your one-line benefit. Copywriters and marketers call it value proposition. But basically it's a 1-line or 1 sentence, 1 to 2 sentence long benefit statement about your business. And then you'll also think about the benefits of the pain points that you solve to write effective copy for those pages. You need to know what problems you're solving and what those benefits are. And then it's like I liken it to building a building with Legos or something. You're putting together individual parts and you're building the building. And so that's kind of how that's laid out. So you have a number of worksheets. You have some blog posts that I turned into ebooks that are in there to kind of give you more context for the about page and the home page, and just pretty much everything. I mean, if you hired me to do these 3 pages for you, I would be walking you through this. So basically, you're getting the worksheets and the process that I would use to write your website copy.
Yeah. And isn't one of the biggest problems we all know is you talked about the blank syndrome page. It's also business owner's time. A web developer, an agency goes to him, he says, "We can hire a copywriter, not a copywriter." And they say, "No, I don't want to spend the cost," right? That's an issue. And then they sit on the copy for 3 weeks, and the poor web agency is saying, "Well, where's my stuff?"
Yeah. I understand, because a good copywriter can cost you as much as the build of the website. And so not every business has that in their budget. I remember one time when I was working with agency, I got a project that I pretty much did everything except for the design that was handed to me from the girl in the office. And it was for a local company in the state where I live. And they had 2 or 3 locations. And so I project managed the project. I built I developed the design, the website, and I was supposed to input the content from the client. I believe the guy had said that I will have my wife to do it. She has an English degree. A year later, we finally launched the website. People underestimate the how hard it is to do copy for business, and also underestimate the value of that copy. Yeah. So you say, oh, well, it costs, several $1,000s to build a site. But the truth is, if you launch a site with nothing in it, it's not going to do you any good. I've had developers to tell me, people say, well, just put something in there. I don't really think you want your developer to put Lorem Ipsum in there. You're not going to go very far with that. So you got to have copy there. It's got to be reasonable, make sense. And the goal of a site usually is to get someone to take action. So your copy needs to be able to do that. You're not going to take this and write copy on par with the best copywriters, but I do introduce you to some very basic copywriting principles that you can implement. You're still going to need to write the content. So if you go through all this, the framework, you think about some stuff that a lot of marketers would have you think about. At the end of the day, somebody's still going to have to write the content. They're going to have to put 2 words together, sentences together, paragraphs, and so forth. It's still going to have to be done. But you have the information. You have built that part out. You should be able to hand that to a writer, and they can take that and build it. Now, ideally, it could be me, but either way, if you have somebody, and also people just miss it or underestimate the amount of time it takes to do a project like that. And they think they're going to come home at night at the end of the day and sit down, pull up their computer and write some stuff. And you might be able to do that if you're not too tired or don't have other things pressing, but it's certainly not going to be very effective. So this way you can at least write something somewhat effective with some structure to it. And, again, like I said, you're still probably going to need a writer. It can be somebody in your town or somebody on your staff. They would have the information to put it together, and you might want an extra set of eyes or 2 to edit, just to make sure things are cleaned out. I have made this quote many times, and if I can remember it while I'm on the spot, but the cure for writer's block is research. That is something that Joanna Wee from Copy Hackers likes to say.
Yep.
And that's basically what you're doing here. Your writer's block, you're not sure what you're going to be writing. Well, in this case, you will, because you'll have done the work. So
I think that's the key to any block, to be honest with you, whether it's writer's block, design block, is to research. And I think the other key is sometimes if you're having a tough time with it, just honestly put it down and go for a walk.
Yeah. What I like to do is, because sometimes my articles and stuff that I write are written in blocks, literally in blocks. I'll open up Notepad. I'll write that section. But, you just write they use a more crude word, but your crappy first draft. Just write it, get it out. You can always go back and clean it up. You can go back and find resources. You can go back and add examples. All that stuff needs to be done. But if you don't just write it and get it on the page, it'll be stuck in your head. If you're worried about all this stuff as you go, it'll never get out of your head. Brendan Hufford says, sometimes I write things just to get it out of my head. And, that's the truth. But you got to write it, no matter how bad it is, because if you don't start by writing it, it stays stuck in your head. We get paralyzed by, it's got to be perfect, and I've got to have this, I got to have that. And so often, that's what I do. I just write the terrible first draft, and then I may let it sit for a day, or go for a walk, or go, play with the cat or something. So
yeah, those cat gifts. We know all about those, don't we?
The vendor's the king of the cat gifts.
Yeah, it did. Shout out to the vendor. There's no question. I've already gotten 3 this morning, so there you go, including one with a cat with a crown, but that's another story. So this is the first product you've launched. It had its challenges. We know that. Do you want to talk about a little bit about the process, about how you launched the product?
Well, a lot of things were already put together in terms of some of the worksheets and stuff I had done. And I mean, I had offered the majority of that pack earlier this year to the Agency Trailblazers conference, and a few people downloaded it. One of those persons was Paul Lacey, and he's the one that said, "Hey man, this is gold. Turn it into a product." And so some of that stuff was already done. When I decided we're going to sell it, I decided that maybe some of it needed to not be so crude looking. So we did some designing. Even the worksheets, I tried to design a cover page and make it look a little bit prettier. I used Designer for a lot of that, DESIGNRR.io or .co, whatever. Anyway, it's a good product. I think that's one of those lifetime deals I got. We were talking about LTDs earlier. I think that's one of those LTDs. It was a good one too. And I used it for that, to some of those sheets. And then a graphic designer friend of mine took the core part of it that it centers around and did the branding and the graphics for it. Did that for me, for complimentary. And so it turned out really nice. And then the vendor, I wrote the copy for the page. I actually built a page, but I wrote the copy, and the vendor took it and made it look like it is now. So, and you're using the information, the graphic design from a friend. So, looks pretty nice.
And then you're using Gumroad, right, to distribute the product a little bit?
I played around with different ideas, and early on, the vendor recommended that to me because he's used it to sell things in the past. It's pretty straightforward. They take their cut out of it. Everything you use is going to take a cut out of it. So that happens. It would have been nice maybe to have had a setup where I'm just using Stripe. It would have been a little bit less of a cut, and maybe in the future we'll use that. But Gumroad was a great way to go to start off. They host the files, and all you have to do is to go in there and download the files. But I foresee maybe in the future using something a little bit more personal, where we cut out some of the fees. But certainly getting it out the door, Gumroad was absolutely the best way to go. And I think, I've seen people put other productized services in Gumroad. So, it's just real simple. They have a good platform. I got my first payout today. Best I can tell, there was no trouble with that.
Good. Huh? In your bank account this morning?
It was enough to go get an omelet and a biscuit with gravy this morning. So I was pretty pleased with that. And I don't know, I might stick with it, but you think down the road, and maybe if I can host this a little bit more, maybe use easy digital downloads or something like that, and Stripe. I could probably cut back on some of that. But you know what? It was still, I'm still pretty pleased with the amount that came down this morning. So I mean, the only way it would have been better if it had been twice as much. And I don't think those fees really would have made that much of a difference in how I felt about it.
Yep. And then you did some promotion in some groups and through some friends. And
somebody was asking me how I promoted it, and I said, well, it's really very organic. I had some friends to volunteer to share it for me. Some I wouldn't expect, and whenever I thought, well, I could probably get the vendor to announce it. Well, he told me he was going to announce it in a group, and I could probably, I might be able to get this person or that person, but I had some people to step up and say, hey, let me share this for you. And one was Erin Flynn, and she's got a really nice following. She's a real nice lady. And and then I had some other friends that volunteered to share it on Twitter or whatnot, and could give me some really nice, a really nice promotion about it. And I've been able to share it in a few groups here and there. And So there's not been, I've told some other friends of mine, especially in the copywriting world, that I've done what I've done without spending a dime. And they're really amazed that I've, sold 24 in 2 weeks without spending any money. And, I guess that is pretty good. There's certainly some more things I can do. The vendor talked about, and it's a good idea. I just hadn't had a chance to do it, but doing some videos, showing some stuff, and that I can put out, I'll probably do that. Try to do that when I get more time. I can still write some articles on the Copyflat blog, and maybe some more. I have somebody who's interviewing me, a little Q&A article, and once I get that done, that'll probably help a little bit. I've had other people to offer to sell it on their platform. So most of this right here is just relational, building.
Back to the whole relationship marketing discussion. And, you and I have talked about how marketing is a lot about the relationships you've built over the years. And that's where the friends and the articles and the platforms all come into place.
I think that's why a lot of people, I used to think that, and I think it's still the case, you wait to sell something after you've been doing stuff for a while, right? You don't sell stuff your first year in business because, you don't exactly, but it is partly that, you gain some experience and some knowledge that you can share and sell. That comes with time. But I think another reason people maybe do that is because you build up relationships over a period of time that can really help you when you launch something like this. So a good example of this is Joel Klecke, who's a conversion copywriter we both know. Joel runs a product and a service business, and he still does his conversion copywriting consulting. But earlier this year, he launched a training, and they're just 2 videos and the slide deck for each one. I got in on the first round, and it cost me $99 for both of them. I don't know what it costs sales now. I think it's more. And he started by getting a list. He started a list like last year, and he had pretty good, it was basically, hey, I'm helping freelance copywriters, freelancers. And so people signed up, but he also had this vast network from his time when he did SEO before he ever did copywriting. So he had SEO connections, and he did a lot of content blogging when he first started writing, and he switched to conversion copywriting. He's been on stage speaking at conferences, and he's got all this, exposure, and that was just him doing what he does. Then he launched this thing, and I think these 2 videos are great for anybody who is freelancing and has to sell themselves. Because the first one he calls Fishing with Dynamite, and it's about how to build an authority to get people to come to you. The second one is about closing sell, which I admit, if I ever get back to where I'm selling something, I need to go back and watch that video. Really good video. But the bottom line is, Joel, I don't think he spent any money on promoting that either. He had people promoting it for him because he has been a super helpful person to any freelancer. And he drops, I hate to say it's so cliche, but he drops knowledge bombs in the Copywriter Club Facebook group all the time. But that's what relationships do.
Yes.
And I don't, like I said, I don't think he spent any money promoting that. And if I remember right, he said he made enough to help put a down payment on the house, his first house for him and his wife and his little boy. So pretty good deal. And relationships can make a huge difference.
Yeah, you've heard me say this. I attribute marketing stuff to kind of like dating. It takes time to build that relationship and get to the end point. And then when you get there, you know what you've kind of got. And anything worth it takes time to get there. Like, it's not like let's go from A to 1 million in one day. It's all about that build, right? So.
Yeah, and then, I guess the lessons you learn when you're beating your head against the wall because things aren't working too well until you get to that point. But, I definitely felt a little bit of, I think it was Joel I was telling us, like, I felt a little imposter syndrome right before I launched it because I thought, what if people think I'm dumb? What if no one wants to buy it? So to get that kind of response out of the gate was pretty good.
Yep.
We've gotten stagnant the last couple of days, so we figure out how to reignite that.
Yep. So, Todd, if somebody really wants to get your framework, I think they should. First of all, they should go out and get it. You have a special running right now, I think, until next week for $47.77.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that off on Tuesday. Okay. Looks like working with the vendor on that. He's gonna have to change it on the website. Yeah, right now it's 47 of its launch price, and it's going to go back to 90. It's going to go up to 97, which will be the regular price. As of Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll get that changed. So if you get there Tuesday and we haven't changed it, lucky you. But we're going to change it at some point Tuesday, back to $97. And I've had multiple people tell me, including Kim Doyle, that it definitely should be $97. So.
I've told you I think it should be $197, but that's
it probably should be, and maybe we'll do something down the road where you can buy 3 different versions. Just the framework, and then a framework and a session with me, and framework, and I don't know. Maybe we'll figure that out down the road. But to me, it's kind of a proof of concept. Okay. Once people start saying, "Hey, yeah, I use this with a client," which Paul Lacey did do that, by the way. Mm-hmm. He took all those worksheets back from Agency Trailblazers, and he did in fact use it.
Yeah, he did
a consulting gig with one of his clients to do walking through content. So it's something I would like to see a few more people do that, but that I feel like it's a proof of concept, really opportunity for me to say, yeah, it really worked. I have these many customers who have used it with their clients, or I foresee it doesn't even have to be a web consultant using it, or even a digital consultant using it with their clients. Business owners who are very much do-it-yourselfers, mm-hmm. I could see them buying, and we have a lot of people that are do-it-yourselfers, and understandable. Maybe they've learned how to build a WordPress website or whatever. It doesn't matter if you're building a WordPress website or Wix website or Squarespace website. It doesn't matter what you're building it with. You still got to have the copy. You still got to have the framework. So I can foresee it being used by do-it-yourself, business owners as well. So I'll probably eventually do a landing page just for that in the future. So, yeah.
And how does somebody buy your product?
Well, copyflight.com/WCF. I'm sure you'll put that link in your notes, but
I will.
That is the landing page. I try to keep it pretty simple, and you can buy it from there. You click the button. It's basically a pop-up for Gumroad, but you can buy it there, and that's where we have it now. So.
And if they have any questions, how's the best way to get a hold of you, Todd?
Tell them to call Rob Cairns, and he'll answer all the questions for you. Todd at copyflight.com is my email, so you can email me there, and I'll try to answer questions for you. Tell me what you think about the Raptors. Go ahead and email me.
Yeah, thanks. For those, since we're doing audio, I'm wearing a Raptors hat again this morning, and it's almost that time, so... Thanks, Todd. Good luck with the product, and have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening to the SDM Business Marketing WordPress podcast. The show is hosted by Robert Cairns, the CEO and Chief Creator of Amazing Ideas at StunningDigitalMarketing.com. This podcast comes out every week. It's available on all podcast platforms. If you'd like to be a guest on this podcast, please email us at podcast@StunningDigitalMarketing.com. If you'd like to find out more about the digital marketing services we provide, please go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. This podcast is dedicated to Robert's late father, Bruce Cairns. Have an amazing week. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.